Brendan's been very busy making a new album over the last year or so. And not only making a new album, but starting his own record label, Ready Made Records. Which is a pretty big undertaking. And I know that both of you, Emily and Brendan, have been working on it together. So why start the label? Was it, what got you, what started the idea of creating your own?
Well, it was almost, I mean, I don't know, it was almost a matter of survival, you know? I mean, I've been making records for a long time, and, you know, invariably, you know, things just don't pan out, and, you know, the music business is, you know, now more than ever is weird and, you know, and volatile and unpredictable. And you know, finally having met someone like Emily, who's very capable and, you know, smart about, you know, business and this day, you know, the kind of music business in particular, gave me the nerve and the, you know, the confidence to do it finally, you know, because it was something that I'd always thought about, you know, for a long time. I always thought about doing it.
Absolutely. And so you guys have been talking about it. Emily, you heard, was it your idea, or did you guys sort of in conversation come up with a thought?
I think I always kind of had it in the back of my brain, and he's so unbelievably prolific. That's really the key. I mean, he's a workaholic in the studio. I'm constantly on my computer, and I was pretty sure we were probably going to figure out a way for him to own his master for the first time in his life. But then when he was producing a guy named Young Hines, who actually has some nice Chicago ties, that's when it was like, oh my God, this music's so awesome. Like, you know, we should do this. And I also saw the value of the artists helping each other out, whether it was playing on each other's records or playing shows together. And it was really a nice family and musical community that Brennan had built kind of without even realizing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the key there is, you know, in working with you in the past with another band, Golden Hotel, who you manage, a great Chicago band, check them out. You know, it was artists owning, you know, their music and controlling their music, and to be able to do that allows, from my perspective, things to be a lot easier sometimes, you know, to really just get things done and faster and more efficiently when the artist is giving the yeses and the nos as opposed to a million other people. So, you know, if nothing else, that's a huge step in the right direction to be able to do it that way. So we're looking forward to getting something very soon, Brendan, everyone. And Megan, you know, being with XRT and CBS Radio for a number of years, you guys have done a ton of different programs with artists, a ton of different programs with festivals. And what we're getting into today is really talking about brands and how it all works. So with the label, how it works with brands, it's much easier from an independent perspective. With festivals, there's so much going on. I know you guys have done some great stuff with State Farm. Tell us a little bit about that and how bringing them into a festival world, straying a little bit from the artist side of things, but it's good from that perspective too, because there's so much going on with music.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, the music festival has grown and grown, and I'm sure you're playing them, and they seem to be taking over. And we work with a lot of companies that, you know, are negotiating sponsorships of these big major festivals. They're doing great things, but unless they're activating outside the four walls of those festivals, people don't really notice. So if you're one of the 200,000 people at Lollapalooza, fantastic, but there's so much that can be done to extend the brand's presence and tie it with music, which ultimately is what, you know, you guys are talking to, kind of this lifestyle, and that's what the brands want to align with. And so we do a lot of work. We're in the middle of a program with State Farm this summer that is tying with Coachella and Bonnaroo and Lollapalooza and some of these big festivals. We're working with our different partner stations as well as XRT to create content from backstage interviews and through different interactions we can do with consumers outside of the festivals to get them in there, and then using our digital properties. It's really helping tie the brands that are inside these festivals and partnering with music, because they've identified it's important to kind of have it have legs for a little longer than the 2 or 3 days.
And I love that, because say State Farm. So that's bringing them directly to some artists that they otherwise wouldn't have access to, and tying them directly to those artists. But at the same time, it's giving the artist who might not be the headliner at Lollapalooza the chance to get exposure, in a much bigger space than they would if they weren't part of a program like you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Being broadcast nationally in some cases.
Right.
I always call it the bow tie effect. When you're doing programs like that, you've got sort of the big upfront, hey, we're doing Lollapalooza and we're sponsoring it, whatever else. Boom, it's happening. Sure, there's whatever, a couple 100,000 people there. But then in the end, it's the content, and you're exploding that all over the place after. I mean, that's where it's exciting.
It's really fun to kind of figure out how we can keep the conversation going. I mean, I think that most people always have that song or that event, that concert that takes them to a place, and when brands are trying to get that feeling out of the consumers and the bands that are generating that great vibe, we're trying to then use our networks and use the passion that people have for the radio stations and our digital properties to kind of extend it and keep that good feeling going. So.
The evolution of a radio partnership.
Yeah.
I like it. So you guys are very forward thinking, and I think that I know, Emily, that you realize that working with brand partners is a great way to gain exposure these days, now more than ever. So Brendan, Emily, what would go into your decision? Like, okay, what type of brand? What factors come into deciding if a brand is right or not for you for a partnership?
I mean, it works best when it's ideal. It's seamless if the artist is into the brand. So we work with Billy Reed a lot, which is an amazing men's clothing company that you guys wear. So
plug.
But seriously, I mean, they were wearing this stuff anyway.
Right.
So to do shows with them and have their clothes in our videos and concerts and things like that just makes sense. I think when we take it to kind of the next level, I mean, so State Farm, you wouldn't necessarily, it's insurance, you wouldn't necessarily associate that with music. But what I see is, people maybe going to that website or whatever, everybody listens to music. And we know how to get on Pitchfork and Stereogum and all the hip indie music websites, but we want to appeal to everyone. So people that might only buy 5 or 10 albums a year, if they're able to check out Brendan in a situation like that, it goes
while
beyond
buying insurance.
I mean, I did a deal in
It's important.
That's comforting music.
I was working with this, and the music has to be great for it to work. But you'd be surprised. I was talking to American Greetings once about doing a deal, and 3 million uniques on their site, and again, the music space is really, there's a lot of traffic, so any way that we can find new fans and expose the music even wider is always our goal.
Right, and I think there's a time and a place for a partnership. It's just got to be right, and I think a lot of times it's our responsibility as agency people and brand people to make sure that it's right and not just force fit because we might be a fan or something else,
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's up to the artist to say yes or no, and some get it and some don't. I think it's very situational. So we always try to find the right fit.
I deal with those things on a sort of gut level basis,
Yeah.
like if things that I agree with or believe in or aren't totally don't hate, I mean, aren't appalled by, but
I like that.
like I would never align myself with McDonald's or whatever, or something like that, because I don't eat there, I don't like it, But then
It's just
on the
not
other hand,
authentic.
what's that?
It's just not authentic.
Right. But on the other hand, I'm doing a lot more than I would have done 2 years ago, since my son was born. Now I've kind of changed my tune. I'm sort of like, well, okay, American Greetings or State Farm even, yeah, maybe, because it's sort of, like I say, a matter of survival in this world. This world now it's pretty tough.
Well, yeah. One, you're getting paid, and two, on the other hand, I think this is somewhat obvious, but a lot of people are discovering your music that otherwise might not. You know what I mean?
I have yet to see. I wonder about that. I mean, we have this argument, this ongoing sort of discussion, I guess. I want to see numbers. I would love to see numbers.
I think we have numbers.
Because that could be arranged. I want to see a chart. Well, no, I mean, in the day it used to be, the argument was even if, you know, late night shows did anything. You know, now, of course, maybe they are back or something, I don't know. You've got like, well, what, you know, I don't know what's going on with late night TV, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, you got to play SNL, that's a coveted slot, or Letterman, or whatever. And so, and when you do that, you'll sell a lot more records. Well, it has been argued that that was even true at the time. And, you know,
it seems that these days, though, a late night appearance lives on in the daytime because people watch it online. I don't know how many people stay up to watch Jimmy Fallon.
Right, right.
But then, you know, you get these, you get tweets and like, oh, watch Brendan Benson on Jimmy Fallon. Boom, you can just go there, you know, in the daytime. So the internet certainly has changed that.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think the consumer, the fan, is much more accustomed now, more than ever, and more so every day, to finding music in advertising or finding music in unique ways in different places. I think radio is the go-to and always will be, but you know, they're looking and discovering in new places.
And we were talking earlier that we realized at XRT a couple of years ago there was all of a sudden this aha moment that there was a Phoenix song in Cadillac, there was Edward Sharpe was doing stuff for the NFL, and Feist was doing stuff for Apple, and they're all songs that we're playing.
Right. And
so it was kind of like, it's this validation. If you remember when the Rolling Stones did something, you know, 20 years ago, and it was this big outcry, and now it is kind of part of the conversation, much more.
I think when Wilco did Volkswagen, everything was like, okay,
all bets are off.
Yeah, like, go for it.
They drove Volkswagen, so it was cool.
I guess it's okay. Yeah,
I thought it was Nick Drake.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, we just did a big Supercuts campaign, which is running currently. And it was Emily and I, and we worked with Gold Motel, and a couple of the guys in the band went to Supercuts, and all four of the artists that we worked with were like, you know, we've gone there, we go there, so it really was kind of comforting to know.
That's for haircutting.
Well, and what worked well about that is like it's documentary style, so it's literally the band playing and hanging out. It's not like
we're talking about their music, actually.
Exactly, and you know, it's interesting talking about syncs because that's an area where Brendan's had a ton of success in, and what I love that brands are kind of understanding now is, you know, it's not just Brendan's song being in an Apple ad. Like, we want a download on the website. We want that exposure to kind of go beyond the film or the television
Which
show.
is what we did with Supercuts. I mean, it's a 360 artist inclusion campaign. I mean, they're featured in the spots. There's a social media component. And even a live aspect that we're working at right now. So it's very much integrating the artist into everything we're doing without making the artist a spokesperson for the brand. So there's a way to do it, and that's what we're doing, and that's, I think, what I love the most about that campaign.
Definitely.
And everyone's happy so far, so we're just going to roll with it. So I think, you know, new album is, I think everyone here got the chance. We sent them the album, so thank you for sharing.
We
that,
have a box
Emily.
too, so
they got the digital version of the album.
Cool.
And so we can just go around the room. Everyone can tell us what your favorite song was. Just kidding. So it's an amazing album, and you've got to be proud of it.
I am. Thank you.
And we're excited to hear it. So I think we should, right?